Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Burnside to Olympia and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson, one of your co-hosts. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, since we're heading to Olympia, I'm going to hang out with Mike down on 6th Street and talk about some nerd stuff. So, as always,
great band and a great song. If you know that reference, write in and we'll send you a free compliment about your musical, your musical taste.
Absolutely. So I would say overall, though, as always, there was a lot that happened in the world of nerd. So
yeah, we got a lot to get to. Yeah, we got a lot to get to this week. A lot of like, I don't know. There's some big stuff, but I guess a lot of it is like smaller stuff that I don't know. Stop talking about it, Mike, and just start talking it. All right, it's kicking off with some DC news this week. Big. I don't know. For me, it was big. For a lot of people, it was big. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a story that was related to a costume reveal on this show. I remember some of the early days.
we talked about there
was like a new Shazam suit and a new Aquaman suit and things like that. And now it's been a little bit, but we got the reveal of a much anticipated costume for Batgirl. That's right. Leslie Grace, star of the upcoming Batgirl film for HBO Max, tweeted out the first look at her in her Batgirl costume. And holy crap, do I love it. It is it's the classic like purple and yellow accent with some black accents, color scheme, full cowl with her red hair coming out underneath it. Just really classic Batgirl. It's similar to a costume that was used in a run of Batgirl called Batgirl of Burnside. It was part of the New 52 run, I believe, from DC Comics, or it could have been just after that. I think it was the one after, like Gail Simone kicked off Batgirl in the New 52, and then once she left, it was the run after her as they give her new suit. Some people really hate that suit. I kind of like it. The thing I don't like about it is it was designed by someone that has been accused of sexual assault and henceforth kind of booted from the community. Hooray for that. So I don't love that aspect of it, but I do love that it looks like Batgirl. It also kind of similar looks to the suit that she's wearing now, kind of a two-piece zip up the front, purple and yellow and black accents.
Right.
So you really could say that it was either one, but it just looks great, I think. And it's
a weird one for me because having not read any Batgirl or really seen much of anything that has been involved in that end of the Bat family, from what we've talked about on the cast, it actually fits a lot of what I had in my head. Because you've got Barbara Gordon, who is not a wealthy, multimillionaire that would have all the tricks and gadgets. Like, it looks like a down-to-earth, like, jazzed-up cosplayer's costume, almost.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to look different when it's filmed versus, like, a set photo, so we'll see how it is. But it made me... Well, okay, I'm going to get to the second half of this story, and then we're going to go back and talk. There was some other Batgirl news this week where there's 3 new cast members announced for the Batgirl film: Rebecca Front, Corey Johnson, and Ethan Kai. These are 3 names I'm not familiar with. Looking at them, Rebecca Front's been in some stuff. Corey Johnson has been in some stuff. He seems to often play like a tough military guy in a lot of the stuff that he has been in. Ethan Kai, I also am not familiar with. Ethan Kai is a youngish, early to mid 20s guy. The rumors surrounding Ethan Kai is that he may be playing Dick Grayson. That has yet to be confirmed. I think it's only that he is the age that he is and he looks a certain way. And there have been some set photos of the two of them like holding hands and stuff on the street or something. And there's been a lot of Batgirl set photos. I had to unfollow a couple of Twitter accounts that were posting Batgirl set photos in a way that made me nervous that I was going to see something I did not want to see. Right. And I have seen a couple things that made me very excited. One being a certain mural. I'm not going to say it because it could technically count as a spoiler. But if you know what I'm talking about, you've probably seen it. A mural that was on the set of Batgirl that has since been covered up, having to do with what we're talking about. Anyway, possible Ethan Kai being announced as Dick Grayson and or Nightwing and or I don't know, maybe he's still Robin. Who knows? But if I don't know, if Michael Keaton is the Batman in this world and he's a lot older, odds are that he's going to be Nightwing and not Robin anymore, unless they want to. I don't know, unless they're going to show us him separating from Batman, which would be cool. Anyway, I don't know. That's all speculation. But those are the 3 cast members that have been cast. Also for this, for the Batgirl HBO Max original film. And now that I went through that, I forgot the original point that I was going to make.
Formerly HBO Max original film, right? Didn't you say last week or so they got it moved to theatrical?
That was Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle was okay.
Theatrical release, but I speculated that this could be moved to theatrical release now that we know that Michael Keaton is in it.
Right.
I mean, okay, it's Leslie Grace
Keaton
as Batgirl.
JJJ.
Yeah, and Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah.
And Brendan Fraser, his star obviously is not quite as shining, quite as brightly as it was, 20 years ago, but he's still a name. People know who he is. People remember him. People love him. He's beloved. Brendan Fraser is beloved.
And in all honesty, with his current role in Doom Patrol, he should be more, that's probably his best work to date. Mummy be damned. Georgia the Jungle be damned.
Encino Man be damned. Yeah, I don't know. I love him in Doom Patrol. It is strange that the villain of Batgirl will just happen to look exactly like Cliff Steele of the Doom Patrol. But I guess we don't really know if they take place in the same DC universes because it's a multiverse they're playing with, so they could always excuse that Doom Patrol's on a different universe or whatever.
Maybe the villain is Cliff Steele and he never got in the accident.
Oh, snap. Wow.
We're going deep.
We're going deep. I know that would be cool. I forgot the original point that I was going to make when I was talking about her costume when I jumped to the cast members, but I'm sure it was good. So just pretend that I said something smart. I'm really excited about this. I think, Steve, it might have been last week that you said, we were talking about The Flash, and you said something like, I think this is the movie that we're going to talk about nonstop. This is going to be the new Spider-Man No Way Home of 2022.
Yep.
And I want to amend that a little bit. I'm sure we're going to talk about The Flash a lot, but in general, 2022, I think our main topic, as Spider-Man No Way Home could have been considered our main topic last year.
Right.
I think our main topic this year in general is going to be bats, because we got, and that includes The Flash, because we got 2 Batmen in The Flash that we know of, or Batmans, whatever the plural of Batman is. Mm-hmm. Then we got The Batman coming out just a couple months from now. And we got and Batgirl, even though there's no release date for Batgirl quite yet. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year, but I feel like we're going to be talking about a lot of Bat stuff.
For the amount we've been hearing about it and how far along it seems to be, I would have to put money on it being end of this year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too many things that have come out and are coming out constantly, and set leaks, and you don't see all that coming from a film that isn't, well into production.
I guess my theory, I did remember the point I was going to make, so I'll go back to that in a second. But my theory is there's no date for this movie right now, and I think it's because they're not sure if it's going to be theatrical or not.
That would make sense.
And that could be because, like, I feel like if they're this far into production, usually by now there's a date or a projected timeline or date or something like that. So I think maybe they're waiting. I don't know why they would be waiting to see. Maybe they're waiting to see more dailies or more like footage from it or something, but I guess I would be surprised if this didn't go theatrical. It's a Batman adjacent thing,
right?
Like that alone warrants it a theatrical release. Of course, they want to draw more people to their streaming service, so that makes sense too. But I don't know. It's got Bat in the title. People are going to want to see this movie.
And if you didn't sign up for HBO Max last year with the day and date releases of all that,
oh my god,
you're probably not getting hooked by just Batgirl.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Because there was only, I guess there was. Well, yeah, they did Wonder Woman 1984 and Zack Snyder's Justice League were both DC stuff, so it did probably hook a lot of DC people with those already.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Was like they've had 2 major DC releases on there already, so people are probably. I mean, it may get people to come back. But I don't think it's going to be anything like, oh my god, I've never heard of that. So
Right. But that could change when promotion starts, when trailers start, and people are like, "Whoa, there's a female Batman," or whatever. They're people that aren't familiar with the character. My point, the point that I was going to make isn't really a point. It's just a question. Is I'm interested in, we see her in the costume. We see there's a set photo of her possibly talking to a more adult-looking Dick Grayson. Again, we don't know that that's who Ethan Kai is playing. Could be somebody else. Who knows? And she's not like a child. I don't know how old Leslie Grace is, but she's in her 20s. She must be, at least. She's not a teenager. She's not a minor. Right. And sometimes Batgirl is portrayed as a teenager in her early incarnations and her origin. So my question is, and you don't have a way to answer this, neither of us know, but like, is it possible that this isn't an origin story? Is this possible that this is just her she's already Batgirl?
I mean, like,
we assume that it's going to be an origin because we've never seen a Batgirl movie before, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. She could already be established. She could have been working for Bruce Wayne for the last 5 years or whatever. She could already be Batgirl. There could already be a Nightwing. There could already have been 2 other Robins. We don't know how far along this is going to be. And that kind of makes me excited as a fan of Batman and a fan of the Bat family that we could already get someone that's more established and we don't have to necessarily wade through an origin. Not that I wouldn't love to see a Batgirl origin on the big screen. Of course I would, but I would also love if we just walked into a fully established character. Maybe we get flashbacks or hints of an origin or something like that.
I was going to say, if they do the, dive right in, just into the story and then have a couple snippets of like how this all came to be or whatever. Right. It can't be like when Tom Holland's Spider-Man came in, because that was Spider-Man. Like, everyone in the world knows Spider-Man's origin story.
Yeah, and we had already had 2 versions of Spider-Man previously, so we knew the origin. We knew he got bitten by a spider. We knew about Uncle Ben. We knew all that stuff. We didn't need to see it again. Right. Which is the same, I am assuming, about this Robert Pattinson Batman film. I don't think we're going to get they've said this is not an origin story because we've seen that 1,000 times. We don't need it again. There's pearls, there's gunshots, there's an alley. We get it. So I don't know. I'm very excited to see more of this. And the set photos probably is what spurred the release of the official picture. Normally when you start seeing set photos, that's when you start getting the official releases before you do get a crappy version of it. You want the high def, good lighting picture of the suit. So, all right. So that's our DC news for the week. And now we're moving into Marvel. Oh, by the way, we didn't say this at the top of the show, but speaking of DC stuff, we've been ending each episode lately. We were doing Hawkeye Talkeye. Now we're doing Boba Fett. Seen it yet? We're also going to be doing, speaking of DC, moving forward, we're going to try as best we can because we're people that only have a certain amount of time available to us in our lives. But we're also going to try to start doing a Peacemaker. We say sure. That kind of rhymes, right? That's my only thing. Peacemaker. We say sure. Not really. It's hard. Rhyming's hard, guys. So we're also, at the end of this episode, we're going to be doing spoiler talk on Boba Fett and spoiler talk on the new HBO Max series Peacemaker, spinoff of the Suicide Squad. James Gunn wrote and directed both of those wonderful things, and I can't wait to dig into that with Steve because we haven't talked about it yet.
Wow.
But anyway,
thinking about it right now, we've got 2 series, and this is a digression, but you've got 2 series that are helmed by Robert Rodriguez and James Gunn. Just randomly, out there.
I know.
Okay, I think we're doing okay as far as content.
Yeah, that's part of what I was going to bring up when we did talk about Peacemaker, was just that I can't believe that this is happening. And I can't.
So more to come on that later.
More to come on that. My video just got dark. I don't know why it got dark. Does it look darker to you than it did 10 seconds ago? It looks dark.
Looks good.
It doesn't matter to the people listening. So anyway, which are most of you. Moving from DC into Marvel, we got a teaser for a trailer, Steve. A teaser for a trailer. Not a teaser, not a trailer. A teaser for a trailer for Moon Knight, the Disney Plus series Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. Apparently, we're getting the full trailer tomorrow, and this is something that I've seen before. I don't like it. I would just rather drop the trailer. I don't care. Or just tell us that the trailer is going to be in whatever football game. Fine. I don't need a teaser for the trailer. But anyway, that's what we got.
Right.
Steve, you must have watched this.
I have.
I would think. What did you think of it? It's 15 seconds long. What did you think?
It was. We got weirdly a lot more than I thought we would out of a teaser for a trailer.
Yeah, out of 15 seconds, they really put a lot into those 15 seconds.
There was a lot of Oscar Isaac going on, which was like, and in various iterations that make me think that they're going to take Mark Spector and do him right. And then you saw both a great view of either, well, actually no, because sorry, the nerd brain's kicking around too many things at once. So the initial shot, or the second shot of the trailer, was a great shot, though darkened. It was a great shot of the suit, and the suit looks awesome. But it was very dark and gray and gritty. And
well, there was a flash towards the end, towards the end of that scene. You got a light up shot, but it was really like someone took a picture of him or something with a flash. Yeah,
right. Well, the nerd brain was kicking around a minute ago because the dark version of Spectre's suit is effectively, in the new run of comics, a different villain.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the new Moon Knight run has a little bit of something going on. So I don't know if they're going to tie into that, or if they're going to stick with classic stuff for whatever Hawk's role is. But it was between that and the later on you saw kind of the suit coming on and off, which was almost like
that was cool.
It was like mummification type look to it.
Yep.
With like the wrappings and all that, and it's like, okay, Khonshu, Egyptian mummy, cool. So
very cool.
There was a lot that came out of it. I'm sure we'll dive deep next week into the trailer. But yeah, it's got me more excited. It seems like everything, and tomorrow we'll find out with the drop, but it seems like everything's pointing towards March 30th as the drop date for this.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen that date.
Yeah. There's been a lot of rumors of, how Disney likes to keep Star Wars into Marvel, into Star Wars, into Marvel, into keep things going in perpetuity. So that way there's only a couple week gap between what Boba Fett's got 2 or 3 more weeks. And then I was going to
say, it leaves February pretty open, and March. That's like a 2-month gap if it's the end of March.
Yeah.
Is there something else in between that I'm not thinking of?
I don't think
so.
Yeah.
Seems like I would already be excited for it if I knew that there's
right. It seems like we would have had a bullet point somewhere in here about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, even if it comes in March, you know what it was? You know what that gap in the scheduling would be where Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be.
Was supposed to come out. Yeah.
So
you're right.
That got bumped to May, and maybe they move Moon Knight up because of that. If filming's done and everything's done in post, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. Hopefully, I'd be shocked if there wasn't a release date tomorrow with the trailer. And I'm sure we'll dig into it more next week. Yeah, I thought it was great. I liked it. I'm not as familiar with Moon Knight. He looks cool. He seems cool. I love Oscar Isaac, so I'm excited for this. Excited to dig in more next week and hopefully get a little bit more out of the full trailer.
Yeah, if actually along those lines, from the comics end of things, if you do want some background, we've talked about Jeff Lemire quite a bit.
Yeah,
he did a great run on Moon Knight. So if you ever get a chance, take a look at that. That was some solid. And I'm really enjoying the new run. So, overall,
great.
Oscar Isaac and an Egyptian god, I'm in.
He did say, we talked about a while ago, he did say that this was the most challenging role of his career.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to see what that looks like because he's done a lot of cool stuff.
Right, when you look at his career, there's been some things he's done. So
yeah, for sure. All right, sticking with Marvel for a little bit. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is resuming production this week, or has resumed production, I believe, this week with Letitia Wright. Letitia Wright, who got apparently super injured last August, and they filmed everything else that they possibly could without her while she was recovering. They had to shut down production in late fall because she still wasn't recovered yet. She's finally back to reclaim the mantle of Shuri and possibly Black Panther. It has not super been confirmed yet. There hasn't even really been confirmation that anyone is going to be Black Panther in this movie, now that I think about it. But all signs point to Letitia Wright doing it. Seems like her role is clearly a big part of the movie if they had to shut down production and wait for her to come back. We also got word this week that Winston Duke's character of M'Baku is going to have a much larger role in the sequel. A lot of fans have said that he should be Black Panther. I don't necessarily think that's true. I guess it depends on what they do and how they do it.
Right.
So there was a lot of stuff up in the air about whether she was going to come back, whether she was going to heal, whether she was going to come back because of her rumored
vaccination status.
Yeah.
The actual quote said that had been resolved. So
yeah, I read that too. So does that mean that she got vaccinated so she could be the lead in a Marvel movie? It seems like an easy decision if it was me.
Right.
But
right. I mean, it was an easy decision before that, but the added thing of like, hey, do you want to be the lead in a giant multi-million-dollar franchise? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you have to get vaccinated. You have to do something that should be easy for you to do.
You should voluntarily do this, but here's a couple million. Go enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. But you will be the lead of this movie going forward. I don't think that they were ever really going to recast her. I don't think that was ever. A lot of fans were pushing for that. I don't think that was ever on the table. I think Marvel really values continuity over a lot of other stuff. So I don't know. I don't think that was ever a possibility, really. I think that they were just going to move forward with her, whether she got vaccinated or not, in some way, until they couldn't.
Well, and you would see comparisons of Wright to like what happened with Gina Carano, and it's like that's a bit apples to oranges, but like, either way.
I mean, if I had to guess on Gina Carano's vaccination status, I wouldn't necessarily.
Well, true. I'm probably with you there.
But Letitia Wright wasn't, spouting anti-Semitism on social media, to my knowledge. So that's a different ball of yarn for sure.
Indeed.
So remains to be seen. I mean, it's kind of a small story because we knew she was coming back.
Right.
They said she was coming back. Now she's back. But
the M'Baku thing's surprising to me. The increased rule for Winston Duke and M'Baku, because historically in the books he's always been a foil for T'Challa.
Right.
Like they don't ever see eye to eye really in anything that I've read. So
maybe that changes.
Right.
Maybe that's going to change after T'Challa's death. I mean, they're going to have to address that, right?
I mean,
seemingly
it didn't when he died in the books, but they in the MCU, even in the last movie, I mean, he's shown in a much more positive light towards T'Challa. So it's they may just be taking some liberties and doing some things that make sense for the story that they're telling. Which, hey, if it works, that's all you can ask for.
That's always what they do, and they always do it very well. I think that's the best way to do it. You can't. You have to make decisions that are best for the story that you're telling. And, I'm sure this movie would be radically different had Chadwick Boseman not passed away. It would have been whatever it's going to be. It would be radically different if he was still around. So in the absence of him, maybe they needed, Winston Duke's character to fill a hole that they had in the script for somebody. I don't know. Who knows? Speculation abound. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about the process for this after this movie comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll hear it. It'll be a lot of interesting behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I really want to hear Ryan Coogler's take on how this whole thing went down after the fact.
Yeah, for sure. All right, before we move into comics, weird. We said we had a lot of stuff to talk about. We're already through the bulk of it, I guess. But that we also have 2 different shows to talk about at the end of today instead of just one. Anyway, we won't spend too long on this, and I think we're going to avoid spoilers because a lot of people are just seeing it for the first time. But we saw Eternals, Marvel's Eternals, that has been out for months. But Steve and I did not go to theater to see it. It's now on Disney Plus if you haven't seen it. And my first thought about this movie, non-spoilery, it is really long. Really long movie. It is like 2 hours and 40 minutes long. That's a long movie for anything.
I did it in 2 nights.
I did it. I had a day off. I wasn't feeling. There was one day I wasn't feeling great, so I took a day off and I watched most of it during the day and I finished it at night. So it felt like 2 days, but I did it in 2 chunks. But honestly, Steve, I really liked this movie. I thought it was good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was very solid. I did my only complaint is that they took what should have been either a duology or a series, like a mini series or something, and tried to shove it in that 2:45 timeline, and try to get you to like 10 characters in 2.5 hours. And that was the only juggling act with me. Like, if there was no prior knowledge whatsoever, and mine was even very limited, but without
there wasn't
any sort of prior knowledge, like, I can imagine it was a little on the, all right, who's this? What does he do? That kind of looks like Cyclops. He's not a mutant. Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I was trying to think of when I was watching it, I was like, okay, it is very long. It seems long, but like there wasn't a ton that was you could easily cut out of it because the story they're telling is so huge and there are 10 main characters, more or less. I think you're right. I think the only way they could have done it was if it was a miniseries, or they have less than 10 characters in it. Because I think that's the cut they could have made is less Eternals. Honestly, they could have told a story with 5 of them, probably. It was cool that they juggled that many characters and they were all integral to the plot in their own way and all had different points of view. And like that, they did that very well. They balanced it well. It was just they balanced it with a very long movie. And I'll sit through an Avengers movie or a team up movie or something, the end of a trilogy or something that's going to be that long. But introducing a brand new set of characters to a brand new story in that amount of time is a lot. But I really did enjoy it. I thought that I'm trying to. What's a spoiler? What's not a spoiler? I don't know. You know what? This is a very minor. It's the most minor of spoilers. It is weird to me sometimes when a superhero movie will reference a superhero from another universe to make a joke. And there's at least one reference to Superman in the Eternals, and there's one reference to Batman in the Eternals. There's 2 DC references in this movie. And I was like, that's fine. Like, I get it. But then it just makes me like question the reality of this movie. It's like, okay, so comic books exist in this movie, and specifically DC comics exist in the MCU.
Right.
So, but Marvel comics obviously does not exist.
No, they do.
They do.
Well, I thought there was at least some point where maybe.
Well, yeah, you're right. Here's what I thought when you said they do. They do because this is a great Eternals review, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
Marvel Comics exists in the MCU because in Captain Marvel, Stan Lee is on a bus and he is reading a script to Mallrats, the movie written and directed by Kevin Smith in the late 90s. In that movie, Jason Lee's character references nothing, talks about comics the entire time, and has a conversation with Stan Lee referencing characters like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Hulk and Captain America and all these other characters. So if he is able to mention those characters as comic book characters, not as real life existing things, then the comics clearly do exist in that world, unless the MCU's version of Mallrats is a radically different film, which I guess it could be, but still has Stan Lee in it.
So that absolutely works. I was actually thinking about a run of something I had just read where somebody saw somebody reading a book about themselves.
Oh, interesting.
It was like a weird Inception moment in a panel. I was like, oh,
I guess,
cool.
I guess that makes sense that if you had superheroes in the real world, then you would have stories about those heroes. There would be books about Captain America. There would be books about Tony Stark sacrificing himself or whatever. Those would be stories that were told. So, okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm with it.
Yeah, there we go.
Fine. They both exist. And that's our Eternals review.
Yeah. But we can segue into comic legends and
we can.
The comeback of epic proportions, because it has officially been announced that the one and only John Romita Jr. is returning to Amazing Spider-Man #1 when they relaunch it for the 60th anniversary. So the Romita is easily the I mean, of any artist that's ever done Spidey, he's the one you think of. Like he's been the backbone of Spider-Man for years. And
I would say there's probably three. I would say,
I guess, available now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say there's probably three defining Spider-Man artists.
Yep.
In my opinion, Steve Ditko, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
John Romita Jr.
Yep.
And Todd McFarlane.
True. Yeah.
Those would be my three. I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of, but those would be my three.
Right.
Oh, what's her name? I don't know. I can't think of her name. She did the Ultimate run with Bendis.
Oh,
Why am I?
It's over there.
Yeah. Why can't I?
But yeah,
sorry.
I know exactly what you're talking about. This is awesome
Anyway,
audio, but we either way, in March, one of those months,
April.
I was bookending it.
No, you were close.
So
you were right around it there.
So Marvel is going to be relaunching Spider-Man as a new #1 for the 60th anniversary. The new run is going to be penned by Zeb Wells, who is currently doing fantastic work on a bunch of things, including Hellions might have been my favorite book out of this new X relaunch.
Really?
So yeah, if you get a chance to ever catch that, he takes a team of misfits and like Suicide Squad type team and has them led by Mr. Sinister and makes it work with Havoc and Psylocke.
Whoa.
Like, yeah.
That sounds great.
it's interesting. It's a great take, and Wells nails it. But the combination of him with Romita is just making me very excited to add Spidey back to my pull list. Mostly because I didn't want a new book every week in this current situation.
Nice. Yeah, that's exciting. I didn't realize that it was the 60th anniversary, but I mean, it makes sense, of course. Sorry, I'm trying to. Sarah Pichelli is the artist I was thinking of. Which is, I don't think she did not do Ultimate Spider-Man, but she has done.
She did Spider-Man and Miles. Yeah, she did the Miles Ultimate Spider-Man.
She did Miles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was thinking that it was the
Okay, not the original Peter. Yeah, she did the Spider-Man.
That was Joe Quesada, which you could also argue
Quesada,
that Joe.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of good artists working on Spidey. Wow.
Yeah, let's just
figure.
keep naming them until we named all of them, and that's the top. That's the greatest artist for Spider-Man of all time. So you got to be pumped about this, right?
Oh yeah. It's gonna be good. I don't know where Wells is gonna take it. Apparently, the teaser for the run shows like 4 panels of like zooming out on Peter, and the suit is just shredded and gnarly, and it looks to be a weird, like, apparently he's estranged from Aunt May and the Four and the Avengers and everybody. So it's gonna something is going to happen between now and then, and I don't know what or how or why, but we're gonna find out soon, I'd assume.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick this up, I gotta say, because there's been many times when I'm like, I gotta start reading Spider-Man again, and I pick up a book and I flip through it and I say, I have no idea what's happening. This is insane. It's way over my head. I just have no idea what's going on.
Right. It would take 70 issues to figure out where we're at.
Yeah, but new creative team and a #1, they're starting over at least from some point.
Yep.
Are you somebody that is bothered by constant renumberings, #1s and such?
I mean, I also lived through the Uncanny X-Men number 7,352 era when Claremont just kept running numbers, so not really.
Yeah.
Like, okay, give it a new title or like this is Spider-Man 2022 #1.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I know some people get mad about it. It doesn't bother me either. It's just like, this is comics. It happens all the time.
Right. Well, and to be fair, when you look at those classic runs, you have to like randomly guess, okay, did this arc start in issue 374 or 375?
Right.
So It gives a nice new way to tie a bow on it and call it a day.
Yeah. Speaking of things having bows tied on them, but DC is finding a bow and tearing it right off and going back to their Flashpoint universe. The very successful, I want to say 2010, 2011 Flashpoint series that completely reshaped the DC universe, set up for the New 52. It's going to be revisited in a new series called Flashpoint Beyond, and they are going back to that alternate dimension created by Barry Allen when he runs back in time in the Flashpoint series. This is the currently controversial Jeff Johns returning to write, along with some, or he's at least doing the story, with assistance from some writers, Jeremy Adams and Tim Sheridan, art from Zermanico, covers by Mitch Gerrits, who I love, and Steve loves as well. Flashpoint universe is a super interesting universe, and I can understand them wanting to explore it because of its popularity. The Flashpoint story, super popular. Barry Allen runs back in time to save his mom, and when he runs back to his what he thinks is his normal time, everything is different, everything has changed. And one of the big changes is that the Wayne family, the Wayne parents, survive getting shot in the alley. Who didn't survive? Bruce. The little boy Bruce got killed in the alley, and the parents survived, grieving his death. The father, Thomas Wayne, becomes his own version of Batman, who drinks and uses guns and all kinds of violence. And he was proved to be a very popular character, so much so that they brought him into the main continuity as the main villain of Tom King's Batman run, which I gotta say, didn't work for me at all. This character is great in an alternate universe. Didn't like a alternate universe Thomas Wayne being the bad guy and trying to kill his alternate universe son, Bruce Wayne. That just made no sense to me, and I couldn't get my head around it no matter how well Tom King wrote that. I can't imagine a dad wanting to kill any version of his son from whatever universe. Anyway, this, however, seems like it could be cool if it takes place within that own universe where Aquaman, Atlantis and Themyscira are constantly at war, and Aquaman is a terrorist trying to sink other places to the bottom of the ocean. Pretty cool. Just crazy cool stuff like that. This is the first work from Jeff Johns for DC since Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in Justice League, accused him of on-set racism and threatening his career. So I don't know. Jeff Johns was like the architect of the DC Comics universe for a long time and started pulling away when he got more involved in the live action TV and movie adaptation stuff. And he wrote Doomsday Clock, I think, was like the last big series he did for DC. Oh, no, he did Batman 3 Jokers, but that was like a mini series. So,
right.
And even that, I think, started before all the Ray Fisher stuff really started blowing up. So,
right.
Anyway, we'll see if that affects this at all. I am kind of turned off to Jeff Johns. I honestly, maybe other DC fans will hate me for saying this. I was never a big Jeff Johns fan. There's some things that I think he does very well. His run on Booster Gold I thought was great. But a lot of stuff I read and all the characters kind of sound the same, and there's no real definition to them.
Right.
So I don't know. So I think this is a cool idea, and it's surprising that they really haven't done it before now. It seems like they could have done an immediate Flashpoint spinoff once they finish that storyline, but it's cool they're going back to it. I know a lot of people like the Thomas Wayne Batman for sure, so it'll be a big success for them, I am sure. This week in comics coming out this Wednesday, we got Angel #1. That's Angel from the Buffy the Vampire series. New #1 run for him. Blue and Gold #5. Ben Reilly Spider-Man #1. He's getting his own spinoff. So does that mean that Peter is back in the normal Amazing Spider-Man book?
I think he will be with the new one.
So is regular Amazing Spider-Man just stopping?
I don't know.
Interesting. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm doing that one on Unlimited, so I don't know what's actually happening on it.
Yeah, I'll have to check. Who knows? We got Catwoman 39, new creative team taking over for Ram V. Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death #4. Shout out to local Ahoy Comics, local to Syracuse, New York. Icon and Rocket Season 1 #5. King Spawn #6. Nightwing 88. She-Hulk #1. New She-Hulk, obviously going to get a run started if they got a show coming out this year. Or not obviously, but good synergy.
They always do.
Yeah. We got Silk #1, Spider-Man spinoff, Silk #1, Star Wars. Okay, Steve, I don't know if you know about this. You got to explain this to me. Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures Galactic Bake Off Spectacular.
Yeah.
Galactic Bake Off Spectacular #1. What is going on there?
So
is that a thing?
It's basically like an annual that they're doing, just a one-off random thing. But High Republic Adventures is the more, it's the IDW imprint, like the more cartoony.
Yep,
whatnot.
kid friendly.
Yeah, and they're apparently just doing a bake-off to, I believe I read it's a recipe of like Yoda's favorite Danishes or something.
What?
Oh, it's absurdly amazing, and I really like. I'm intrigued. It's on the scale of crazy that I just would actually want to read.
If that book doesn't end with a page that has a real world recipe that you at home can make Yoda's favorite pastries from, then they failed.
Absolutely.
I'm going to buy that book, and it better have a recipe in it. We got Superman, Son of Kal-El, #7. Venom, #1. New creative team taking over Venom. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, #10. Wonder Woman, Evolution, #3. And X Lives of Wolverine, #1. A lot of #1s on the Marvel side this week. A lot of long-awaited things. The new Venom, the new X Lives of Wolverine, Silk, She-Hulk. I don't know. A lot of debuts from new teams. That's exciting.
This is true.
All right, we are moving into one-shots, and after one-shots, we're going to do some spoiler talk on Boba Fett and Peacemaker, so jet out after these one-shots if you haven't seen those or don't want to hear anything about them. And Steve, why don't you kick it off?
Well, you just talked about Boba Fett, and now we're going to stay in that universe and in that timeline. And apparently Ming-Na Wen has retweeted an unconfirmed report about a Bo-Katan series. Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian from the Clone Wars, and then Rebels, and then
Mandalorian.
What was the Mandalorian show? The one about the Mandalorian.
It's the one. It's the Mandalorian, isn't it?
That it is. So we have seen Katie Sackhoff as a live-action Bo-Katan. She was the voice actor. And apparently Ming-Na Wen had retweeted something directly referencing Katie starting filming on a new series.
Yeah, as some unconfirmed. Yeah, it was like some unconfirmed report that she retweeted and then deleted immediately.
Yep. So before the mouse must have got to her quick, and she went full Tom Holland, and we now know there's likely a Bo-Katan or very Bo-Katan adjacent series in the works.
Possibly. All right, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 will feature a different animation style for every universe that they enter in that movie. This isn't like a huge story. I just thought that's super cool.
Yeah.
Very in line with the teaser trailer that they showed us last month. And yeah, why not do that?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, creatively it makes total sense for the series. Like after watching the first movie, it's like, all right, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Things I'm not in on. We need to pour one out for our previously highly anticipated and actually well liked series Why the Last Man is now officially dead. The showrunner has stated that season 2 will not be getting picked up by HBO Max or anyone else. Apparently the issues with trying to switch houses for a series are a little too much, and no one is willing to pick it up, so it is now officially not getting a season 2.
Yeah, and we had kind of speculated that was going to be the case.
Yep.
A week or two ago, or last week, I don't know, but such a bummer.
It is.
Anyway, our last one shot for the night. Again, you'd think it's not a huge story, but a lot of people online are making a big deal out of it. The Batman, Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, The Batman has been officially rated PG-13 by the Motion Pictures Association of America. Why is this a big deal? I don't know. Can you name a Batman movie that hasn't been rated PG-13 live action? Maybe the 1966 Adam West Burt Ward one. That might have been PG.
Right.
But I don't know. Apparently, a lot of people thought the Batman was going to be rated R and are mad about it on Twitter. Yo, this is a Batman movie. That's not going to happen, son. I don't understand. I think they were referencing the fact that Zack Snyder's Justice League was rated R, but that was on HBO Max. That was not a wide release. And let me tell you, kids, if Zack Snyder's Justice League had been a theatrical release, they would have made him make it PG-13.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%. 100%.
Comic characters outside of a Deadpool or if DC made a Lobo movie, it'd be R. However, if you're trying to sell the Bat, it ain't gonna be R.
He's too big. Batman is too big to make it an R rating. And that's like the thing, like a lot of people are saying it should have been rated R. They're trying to like neuter the DC universe, but like, are you just referencing and defending the Zack Snyder? Like, I feel like they're like Snyder people that are mad that it's PG-13, but like, hey, DC has given you 2 other R-rated movies other than Zack Snyder's Justice League in the last 2 years. You guys just don't like those because they weren't directed by Zack Snyder.
Right.
So like, hey, it's not like we're never gonna get an MCU R-rated movie. Like maybe with the exception of Deadpool 3. They said that's gonna be R, right? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you can't make a Deadpool movie that isn't R.
Well, I don't know. I think that's gonna be the last R-rated Marvel thing we get ever from that's MCU, assuming it's going to be part of the MCU. I don't think we're ever going to get anything other than PG-13 from the MCU. I don't care. I'm fine with that. It's superheroes. Like, it should be for kids. Fine. DC, they're the only ones that are giving you R-rated stuff right now that is in their continuity. Like Birds of Prey, the Suicide Squad, that exists within Man of Steel and Aquaman and Wonder Woman and all that stuff. And Shazam. And Shazam is super kid friendly, except it's actually pretty terrifying at some points. There's terrifying monsters in that movie. But
Shazam? Suicide Squad.
Yeah, right?
Same
I know.
World. Weird.
It's amazing. I love it. I love it so much. And we're going to continue that conversation when we get to the Peacemaker review. Crazy. So anyway, I think we kind of touched on all those as we go along. I don't know what a Bo-Katan show would be, by the way. That's the only other thing I have to say about that one shot. I saw a rumor based on the fact that this was tweeted and deleted, the Bo-Katan thing, that maybe she is going to be the new lead of the Rangers of the New Republic show. But I don't know. That doesn't make sense. She's a Mandalorian.
No, if anything, I'd see her wanting to go back and get the Darksaber from Din.
Yeah, I feel like it's more likely that she's just going to be a main character of Mando season 3.
Right.
But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or whatever place she ends Mando season 3 in gives her a good send off to give her own show.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But speaking of Star Wars, we're about to dive into spoiler talk for Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, in our segment Boba Fett. Seen it yet? If you haven't seen it yet, stop listening to our show right now. Yeah. Or if you haven't seen it, but you have. But I was gonna say, before you do your thing, if you haven't seen Boba Fett but you have seen Peacemaker, just skip ahead. I don't know, 10 minutes. I don't know how long we're gonna talk about Boba Fett, but
it'll be time stamped in the notes.
Yeah, and then we'll do Peacemaker. But if you haven't seen either of them, you could probably just leave right now.
Yeah, and before you do leave, you should probably follow us on Twitch down below, or like, subscribe, leave a review. Reviews help.
Yeah.
They do. If you want to get a hold of us, themultiversereport.com, themultiversereport@gmail.com, contact at themultiversereport.com. All sorts of options. The Multiverse Report on just about all your socials. Twitter, it's MultiverseRPT. Otherwise, we'll, be responding to anything you send us, and hopefully it's something.
Yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. And to you non-Boba Fett people, goodbye. To everybody else, Book of Boba Fett, episode 3, right? It says 2 in the notes, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. I'm going to change it right now to 3. There was a lot that I liked, but this episode, my reaction to this episode was a microcosm of how I feel about Star Wars in general. There was a lot that I liked and a lot that, some stuff that did not work for me at all, but not necessarily stuff that wouldn't have shown up in other Star Wars movies. I don't know. It's hard to describe. But But there's a lot of Star Wars I like. There's a lot of Star Wars that I don't love. And this one had it all. What'd you think? What do you think, Steve?
That's the most apt descriptor ever.
Yeah.
There were some really awesome moments. Anything to do with a flashback is still my favorite Boba Fett so far. The first half of the show was pretty good. The last 5 minutes, I'm assuming 5 minutes, because it was literally the slowest high-speed chase I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if they speed ramped that at all, but they needed to speed ramp it a little bit more because that felt like, how fast is this land speeder actually going?
I read somewhere, I was like, Boba Fett could have just literally hit go on his jetpack.
Yeah,
and
I thought of that.
Cut the whole thing off, like 5 feet.
I thought of that because you mentioned the jetpack in episode 1 when he's surrounded by those people with shields. Like, why don't you just fly away, dude?
Yep.
I thought that. I was like, don't use your jetpack. You're wearing it. I can see it.
It's there. But yeah, so for anyone who hasn't seen it and is listening to the spoiler section because you're some sort of weird sadist or whatever, the end of the episode, Boba Fett somehow enlists the Power Rangers to be his bodyguards, and then they all have individual colored speeders, and they go on the world's slowest high-speed chase. And I think I broke Mike with the Power Rangers reference.
Oh, so funny. Basically, yeah. Okay, so he meets some like 50s greaser kids, right?
Yep.
In town, or like punky. They're like more punky versions of greaser kids that ride 1950s scooters, brightly colored scooters. Now,
Star Wars Vespas.
I saw a lot of people online hated this. I also did not like it. However, I agree with other people online that I saw say that this is the most George Lucas-y thing that has been in any of these Disney Plus shows. George Lucas, if you've also made a movie called American Graffiti about like loving the 1950s aesthetic and stuff.
Yep.
I could see these bright colored Vespas at home in any of the prequels. I would not put it past George Lucas to put it in any Star Wars thing that he had ever directed. For me, they stuck out like crazy.
Oh yeah.
But again, I have to say, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff directed by George Lucas that I do not like. Prequel-y.
Well, now, if you want to keep it on the director that was on it, you could have plopped that, like, changed the desert to something else, and you could have plopped that right into Spy Kids.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
So.
And I wouldn't put it past Robert Rodriguez to have been like, you know what George would like if these looked like 1950s motorcycles or scooters.
Yep.
And they did. They just looked out of place in Mos Espa on Tatooine. They would have put them on Coruscant.
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, I think that's the aesthetic they were going for. Is these kids were trying to be something that they weren't, and whatever. Yes. But it fell a little flat.
Yeah, I think there needed to be some more dialogue that like really explained that, and like we're trying to stick out from the crowd or whatever, you know, better than what I just said. But that's clearly what they were, I think, going for. I think it is strange that Boba Fett just randomly enlisted a bunch of teenagers to be his security team after talking to them for 30 seconds. But I don't know, whatever.
And also, my biggest beef with the whole thing is that somehow the 5 Power Rangers, without some Megazords or whatever they were called, can handle Black Chrysanthemum? Like, what?
Yeah. That seemed like a quick fight.
Yeah. And though he is badass and ultra badass, that it seemed like it came to an end too quickly. Like, I was expecting, okay, they slow him down or whatever, and then he just gets away or does his thing. But for them to actually capture him seemed very odd.
And then they just let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Which seemed odd also.
And, I mean, to be fair, he and Boba, in their first iteration that you saw them in the comics, worked with each other.
Yeah, you're right.
For Jabba. And
Yep.
I mean, they probably weren't friends, but it seemed like the two of them had never talked before in that last conversation before he walked off. I was like, that doesn't seem seems a little odd compared to what anybody who's read the books knows. So,
Yeah, it seems like they would have. I don't know. Maybe he should have had more of a relationship, or they would have been like, "Hey, man, been a long time." Or
yeah,
something
right.
like that.
Even if he name dropped him or anything whatever, anything to acknowledge that hey, there was some history prior to you walking up with the twin Hutts.
Yeah. I got to throw out a quote, a tweet that I saw on Twitter from a film critic named William Bibbiani, who I think is a really great critic. He's a really smart guy. He's also competes in this movie trivia schmodown thing. If you guys like movies and you like movie trivia, you got to check out Movie Trivia Schmodown. They're not a sponsor. I just am a fan of it, and it's great. And this guy is like a master of movie trivia. So he was responding to somebody that was complaining about the bikes. And he said, to be fair, a lot of Star Wars looks ridiculous. This whole show is about a guy in a Commando Cody rocket pack struggling to fill the bureaucratic vacuum left over by a giant slug who got strangled by a woman in a swimsuit while trying to throw her friends in a giant anus. So that's a good point.
Fair.
It's a good point. Good point, William.
Yeah. You can't really that hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. What I loved about this episode, here's something that I loved about it. I loved the baby Rancor. I thought that was great. And delivered by Danny Trejo.
I was going to say, Danny Trejo is no Malakili, but I will accept Danny Trejo.
when Robert Rodriguez is at the helm, you're getting Danny Trejo somewhere. Yep.
That was the
really
second
cool.
thought. The first was, ooh, baby Rancor. And then I saw Danny Trejo and I was like, oh, Robert Rodriguez. Got it.
Yeah. The whole imprinting on him, the whole I want to learn to ride him, this series is going to end with Boba Fett riding a Rancor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even the series finale, maybe just next episode. He's riding a Rancor through town.
We're going to get a Rancor training montage?
Oh, I don't know. Something tells me that we're just going to not see it again until we see him ride it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was really great. Yep. Yeah, the show continues to be good. I feel like I never come away from it being like, that was some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. But I always enjoy watching it. I'm not going to not watch it.
No, episode 2 got close. That was definitely the peak of the 3 we've seen. But yeah, I mean, even yesterday or Wednesday, whatever time is a flat circle. As soon as I got done watching it, I was like, yeah, even with the speeder chase, that was still an enjoyable 45 minutes, hour of television. I'm in.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
They keep doing it.
And I'm going to keep watching it because I can't say no to Star Wars. All right, so that was Boba Fett. Now we're going to move into our second show recap review. So if you've seen Boba Fett, but you haven't watched Peacemaker, time to get out of here. Also, I'll say, if you haven't seen James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, you should probably get out of here because, I don't know, they're very entwined.
Yeah.
One is,
and if you've somehow seen Peacemaker and not seen The Suicide Squad, go the hell back and watch The Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Big mistake because the whole movie got spoiled for you in episode 1 in the previously in The Suicide Squad, which I thought was cool. I was like, I wonder if they're going to remind people what happened in The Suicide Squad. And it just started with, didn't say previously in Peacemaker because it's the first episode of a brand new show, previously in The Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Which is this is awesome. This is the first DC show directly tied into the DC EU, DC Extended Universe. And right from there, I was like, this is amazing. I'm excited. So anyway, spoilers about to start. So if you haven't seen Peacemaker, this is the non-spoiler thing I'll say. You should watch this show.
Absolutely.
You should 100% watch The Suicide Squad, and you should watch this show. That's all I'm going to say. Goodbye if you have not watched Peacemaker. Starting to talk in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Steve, I love this. I love this show.
I do too. I absolutely do too.
And I mean, we both love The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is my favorite DCEU movie. It's my favorite DC movie since The Dark Knight, probably.
Yeah. Same.
And I can't get over how cool this show is, and I love that James Gunn wrote and directed almost all of them. It just feels like the Suicide Squad 2. It feels like exactly the same as that movie felt.
Yeah.
Because it's from the same guy, same creative mind, same writer, same director, and it's just you're going right into the other thing. And man, let's specify. I've seen all 3. They dropped 3 episodes at once. I've seen all 3. You've only seen the first 2. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, to be fair, from my standpoint, a show like this, if something gets spoiled, I'm not really like. It's just so ridiculous that it's like, okay.
Yeah. Sure. I'm not going to spoil it. I won't spoil anything for you. I will tell you that episode 3 takes a darker turn. There's some it gets a little bit darker.
Well, I expected at the end
I will say.
Yeah, the end of episode 2 when it's revealed that his dad is White Dragon.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a dark turn. It doesn't really get much darker than that.
I didn't expect that either. I didn't expect Robert I want to say Pattinson. That's not his name. It starts with a P.
Palmer?
No, that's another guy. That's that's an 80s pop star.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Why can't I think of his name? I don't know. Anyway, he's a great actor, despite me not knowing his name. The guy from Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yeah, he was T-1000.
T-1000, yeah.
Robert Patrick.
Patrick! Yeah, 2 first names. Yep. That's what it is. He's a great actor. He's so great that I didn't expect him to be in it that much. And I guess he's not, I mean, minor spoiler, he's not in episode 3. But they definitely set him up at the end of episode 2 to be consequential to the show. He's a white power leader of some kind. But also the fact that he's some kind of technology genius who has a weird wormhole door in the house that goes into...
And he's the one that's giving his son the helmets?
Yeah, the cool tech helmets. I didn't even know the helmet served a purpose other than just like being a helmet, but
shiny.
Pretty cool sonic boom at the end of that first episode that annihilated a woman completely. Like the level of action and violence and gore in this show is way beyond what I expected. And I don't know why, because it's HBO. HBO has always, been adult shows, things like that. It's rated for mature audiences for sure, but for some reason, I don't know. I didn't expect it to be I didn't expect it to go as far as the movie did, and it does. It very much does.
No, and I expected some things, but I didn't expect like Game of Thrones level.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie, one part that broke me, like completely broke me, was for some reason, Chris Smith going to town screaming freedom.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know why that broke me, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is weird.
I love Eagly.
Eagly's
his pet
great.
Eagle. It's hilarious.
Yep.
I just love John Cena in this role. You can tell that he loves doing this so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Loves it. And he's having such a blast. The dialogue is so funny.
The intro is the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I know. The intro dance number is incredible. The soundtrack, just being all hair metal, is perfect for his character. Like, he is definitely a guy that would love terrible 80s hair metal.
100%.
Works perfectly. And James Gunn is so like music oriented when he does scripts and things like that. And he's got all these like one-hit wonder singles that he loved from when he was a kid, probably that he's dying to put in this show, and then he has been putting into it. It's so great. They reference Batmite at one point. Was that in the episode that you saw? Episode 2, I want to say is episode 2. Maybe it was episode 3. Do you know Batmite? I mean, they describe him in the show as an interdimensional imp that's obsessed with Batman. That's true. And the fact that they just canonized him as existing in the DCEU is insane.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's hard to talk about 3 episodes or 2 episodes even at once, I guess, but we're just kind of giving general thoughts more than spoilers. But
I can never remember the actor's name. Tasty from Orange is the New Black.
I can never remember her name either, but she's great.
Yeah, like that whole dynamic of her being Waller's daughter apparently.
Yeah, that was a reveal I did not expect.
Yeah,
I did
came
not
out of
expect that
nowhere.
at all. Yeah, but cool. I didn't expect Amanda Waller to be in it. I didn't expect
Yeah.
Viola Davis to be in it at all. But it makes sense that she would be, and it's cool that she did. I can see that they might have filmed that while they were making Suicide Squad. Like,
Yeah.
why not? Yeah, and I love that Steve Agee and Jennifer Holland are in it.
Yep.
You know, they're continuing their roles. All those characters, by the way, I don't know about the actress that plays Stacey Norris in the New Blood. We got to learn her name. This is not the first time we've forgotten her name on this show. It's not fair. Other than her, I know that all the other characters are actual characters from the Suicide Squad comics, like, and they're not even main characters, but they're like side characters, you know, guy in the chair type roles, and he actually like is using their actual names for these characters, which is cool.
That's great.
Amelia Harcourt,
Danielle Brooks.
Yep. Okay, Danielle Brooks, you're great in this show. I know that you listen to this podcast. We didn't want to offend you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Amelia Harcourt, she's a super badass. Mm-hmm. Love her very much. She's actually married to James Gunn. Yeah, but that scene in the bar when Peacemaker's like hitting on her and she just like beat up that other guy and she's like, I just want to have a beer, and whether it's you or those other assholes, apparently that's something I can't do.
Yeah.
I was just like, the show being as over the top and crazy as it is also addressing like a lot of social issues in a real direct way, which I think is great. Like, you know, a woman being hit on at a bar. It's talks about racism, obviously. He's dealing with people are accusing him of being like the first scene of the show is him talking to the janitor in the hospital, and the janitor thinking that he's a racist and telling him to like check his white privilege or whatever. And he's like, okay, I'll try to kill more white people. It's just it's so funny. And what was the other example of that I was gonna say? Oh, they're taking shots at Louis C.K. showing his dick to people. And that scene with Vigilante, I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's just so referential and so, I don't know, socially engaged as a show, but also about a maniac who loves violence. And John Cena is great in this. And like, here's the other thing that I was thinking when I was watching episode 3 is that at first I was like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe this is a show that exists in the DCEU. I can't believe this is happening.
Yep.
But then I realized it's only happening because it's this absolute Z level character that no one in a million years would have ever expected that the first tie-in prestige television show to the DCEU would be about Peacemaker.
Oh yeah.
No one in a million years would have thought that. It would have been, oh, it's going to be a Batman show, or it's going to be the Gotham City Police Department show that we know is happening. It's going to be the Superman Michael B. Jordan thing that we know is happening, you know. No, it's John Cena as this character that nobody had heard of before James Gunn put him in Suicide Squad. Not nobody, but the majority of people. But he's good at that. We know from Guardians of the Galaxy, he's good at taking characters no one's ever heard of and making them interesting. So that made me think the only reason that this show can be so good and so crazy is that it's not Superman, it's not Batman, it's not Wonder Woman, it's not an A-lister. Because then the Warner Bros. Doesn't care. And it doesn't like, Peacemaker can do crazy shit with this character that isn't going to disrupt the plans they have for Batman or Batgirl or Blue Beetle or Shazam or Wonder Woman or whatever. Like, that's not going to affect, because he's in the show, he's written as a lower level hero. Like, no one knows who he is or whatever.
Right.
But also the fact that, like, now he's a more popular character than he's ever been. Clearly, he's in a movie that got tons of great reviews and, you know, great reaction. Now he's in a show that's getting crazy good reactions.
Yep.
Is it possible that if we get another Justice League movie that fucking Peacemaker is going to be in it? Like, how insane would that be if he gets elevated to a level where he's working with Batman? I just can't. I'm just laughing thinking of how insane that is, but how possible it is now, because now we have the Guardians of the Galaxy that are A-listers in the MCU and in Marvel, where they were nowhere near that before they made a movie out of him. He's doing the same thing for this character. I mean, and the other characters of the Suicide Squad, other than Harley, obviously, that was an A-lister, but like no one like you. It was hard to find anyone that knew any of those characters besides Harley. And now,
did you know who Ratcatcher was? I mean, you.
I did
yes,
know. I did know who Ratcatcher was.
I mean, like
but,
I'm saying the colloquial you.
Yeah.
Like I had no clue.
But I think I barely knew who Bloodsport was. Yeah. Like I knew who King Shark was. Okay, fine. And Polka Dot Man, sure. But they're still, just because I knew who they were, they're still like EF level characters. Anyway, it's crazy to me to think that the possibility of the next DC big team up movie, if there ever is one again, and I feel like it's going to be a while, but when that happens, that John Cena's Peacemaker could be a part of it is hilarious to me, but also exciting because it's something new, and this is a character that people are responding to and are enjoying, despite him being a complete asshole.
Yeah, and it's I don't really like John Cena in a lot of his roles, but he was born to play this role.
Yes, yeah,
it's too perfect.
Yeah, you can just tell he loves it. Yeah, that he loves what he's doing. So I'm excited to see more, and I'm sure after you watch episode 3 ends in a way that's like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere interesting and new. Not that it's not interesting already, it clearly is, but there's developments, I should say. So anyway, that was our Peacemaker talk, and I can't wait to see where this show's going. We'll try to do both, I guess, Boba Fett and Peacemaker again next week until Boba Fett runs out.
Yeah.
And we'll see. At some point, there's probably going to be too many of these happening at once, and we'll have to just pick one and go for it. But
it's true.
Or not, or we'll just carry that weight, figure it out. But anyway,
I think the Beatles wrote a song about that, Mike.
They sure did. I almost started singing it, and I decided not to.
I did in my head.
But all right, do all the stuff that Steve said before. Like and subscribe and follow us and email us and all that stuff. I don't know. You got anything else to say, Steve?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And until next time, we'll see you in the multiverse.